Perfect. Well, I don't have a gavel, but it's 4 o'clock, so I'll start the meeting. So I'd like to call to order this meeting, the Committee of the Whole for December 14th, and ask if, oh no, I'm sorry. I have to first turn to the CAO for a special notice on rules of procedure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So under rules of procedure, in our procedures bylaw, we have it stating that those in favor raise your hands and those opposed raise your hands. So as we're using electronic meetings, it's being suggested that a motion be put forward that when council is ready to vote, the presiding member must put the matter to a vote by stating those opposed to the motion say opposed. So that proposed motion is in front of the members to move, second, and to put it into motion.
Perfect. Okay. Has everyone had a chance to have a look at the proposed motion, or shall I give it a read if there's anyone that hasn't? And I'm just scrolling through faces, and I think that everybody's had a chance to read it. So may I have a motion to, a mover, sorry, for the proposed motion? Mayor Johansson?
I'll move
A
it.
seconder for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Schwarzenberger. Any opposed? With no opposed, then that is carried. So we have new rules of procedure for these virtual meetings. And do we have any late items to add this evening, CAO?
No, we do not. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Perfect. So then I will look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any opposed? And with none opposed, the agenda is adopted, and I'll look for a motion to pass the prior minutes of the November 9th committee meeting.
So moved.
And seconded?
Second.
And any opposed? All right, so then those minutes are approved as well. So moving right along, we have a delegation with us this evening, and it is my pleasure to introduce, I'm just scrolling the bottom of my screen so I can see him, our new MLA, Mr. Russell. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our virtual table.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Nice to see you on Zoom again.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, but yes.
It has, yeah. So welcome, and the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you. Yeah, pleasure. I know a few of your faces and some of you I haven't met, but it's good to be here. You know, I'll acknowledge and thank both Amy and Petra for obvious reasons over the last couple of months. And so, like I say, pleasure to be here. I won't get into details there. And yeah, I guess one of the kind of blessings in disguise of COVID, which has clearly been a huge challenge for all of us, one of those upsides is it makes opportunities like this to connect a little bit easier. I would say it makes kind of low barrier for us to connect in a forum like this. And so, you know, I would hope that even after some of the regulations ease up around COVID, that we can maintain more frequent and kind of easy opportunities to connect and hear what your issues are as a municipality. And so I have had some opportunity already to meet with the mayor as well as the CAO, and have heard, you know, a few of the top issues for the community. And hopefully, I guess, rolling forward, we can make this a semi-regular event and keep a bit of a live list, so to speak, of you know, what are top of mind for Oliver as a council. You know, what are the issues that you would most like to see action on, and so, you know, the list that I have right now is tied to mainly that the Gallagher siphon and having some expanded opportunity for tasting rooms, for example, for the wineries in town, as well as some issues around physician recruitment and primary care network delivery in Oliver and so on. But like I say, I think that this, you know, there's a real advantage in having us be forced in as a regional district. In my past role as well, you know, we got pushed pretty quickly into proof of concept to show that we can do this virtual connectivity thing pretty well. And so hopefully we can hang on to some of that as we go forward. You know, I don't have a whole lot more to say. I will speak, I guess, just a little bit and touch on my role also as Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Development, which has been, you know, I'm honored to have been tapped for that position and asked to fill that role. Is something that I think probably a lot of you recognize that you know, rural BC, we need to make sure we have a good lens of how, as the government unfolds programs or policy, to make sure that we have that rural lens on that, and something that I care a lot about, and I suspect and know for some of you that you care a lot about that as well. So there's a lot of detail yet to be worked out in terms of how exactly that's going to play out. But it's an important role from my perspective, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity in conversations like this. You know, if you have particular ideas about how you think that should play out, as well as you know, items that should be top on that agenda, I'm all ears. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys, because really, you know, I wanted to have an opportunity to hear any thoughts or questions or concerns that you might want to share at this point. So back
Awesome.
to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you're super busy in the first couple of weeks here, but you're totally right. The blessing in disguise of all of this, and something that we're all learning to live with, or maybe even learning to love, is the connectivity that we have over Zoom and the easy access to be in each other's living rooms or dining rooms or wherever we are, you know, without the long drives that we have in this area. So thanks again for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to the rest of council and see if anyone has any comments or questions. On this little iPad here, I'm having to scroll back and forth through faces, and there's a bit of lag time. So if you can throw up your virtual hand, I think I'll see that more quickly.
You're on mute, Mayor.
Has a real hand up.
Don't everybody jump at once.
The mayor has his hand up.
I'll jump in.
Okay. Councillor Schwarzenberger, you go ahead, and then Mayor Johansson.
No, I didn't have my hand up. I'm sorry. It must have been from before.
Okay, Mayor Johansson then.
Thanks, Rolly. I just wanted to say thanks for making the time to meet with us a week and a half ago, and the time to come here to this meeting today. I hope you're doing well since we've had those conversations. Look forward to getting together and having a coffee one day. Maybe all of us can get together at a coffee shop here and talk about things in person. Look forward to that. Look forward to working with you in the new year, and hopefully we can be at UBCM this year and meeting with some of the ministers down there. I wish you a Merry Christmas and all the best. And again, thank you for coming today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Anyone else with a virtual or real hand, or jump on in? Councillor Mattis?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Rolly, for your sign. It turned into a very nice birdhouse. I think you'll be pleased when you see the end result.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I look forward to the pictures.
Yeah, I have one of Petra's as well. She doesn't know it yet, but I have one of hers that I turned into a birdhouse as well.
Birdhouses, chicken coop lining, lots of fun stuff to do with those signs.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that's it. And if that is it, then I will again say thank you for joining us. Thanks for taking the time out of your evening. I, as well as the mayor, hope to see you in person at some point in time. And hopefully that'll come sooner rather than later. So have a Merry Christmas, and you're more than welcome to hang around for the rest of our meeting, which is sure to be very exciting.
Well, I will pass on that kind invitation, but thank you. And I guess just the one little bit of food for thought for you guys is to think about, you know, is there a way that you'd like to kind of structure a more regular connection, to be able to hear what your top issues are, and how best to have that. Because it's easy, this 10-minute conversation actually doesn't take that much more than 10 minutes, so it's easy to make it work. So more often and short conversations is great. If you have a model to suggest there, I'm happy to oblige. So thanks very much, and have a great, albeit a little bit more isolated Christmas holiday than we all might like. So take care, and thanks.
Yeah, thanks again. And to that point, I'm sure that we'll chat as a council a little bit later and see what we think would work best. But I appreciate the offer of regular contact. And I think probably, I don't know if quarterly is going a little bit far, but especially when it's virtual, like 10, 15 minutes once a quarter is kind of a nice check-in, again, just to keep up on the face-to-face, and little things come up that are easier to pass along in that format. So we'll figure that out in the new year.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thanks, and
Awesome.
enjoy your meeting.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
So moving along to business, we have the Fairview Mountain Golf Society lease renewal, and I'm going to turn things over to the corporate officer.
Thank you, Chair Ventimiglia. I'm just getting a little feedback, so I'm just checking to see if I'm on somewhere else. No, okay. This matter, I'm going to request to council if we could defer it for a meeting. I have made a request to the Fairview Golf Club Society to obtain their bylaws. I just wanted to do a quick review to ensure that the purpose of the Golf Club Society is to provide golfing and services for its members and the public. This is in line with to ensure that as the town of Oliver, we're not providing any assistance to business. There is some prior court rulings that between a municipality and a golf club with the same question, but it was ruled in the favor of the municipality that they were not providing assistance because the society was providing that golf service for its members, and the golf course is open to the public. So just to ensure that we're meeting the requirements of the lease as it's currently written, and as well to ensure that we're not providing any assistance to business, I'll just do that additional cursory review and I'll bring it back to council at a future meeting.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Don't go too far, because next we have the council procedure bylaw.
Yes.
And back to the corporate officer.
Thank you very much. Just to get my iPad up so I can see my report. I was having a little trouble with my iPad earlier. Oh, look at that. And it zoomed out of focus again when I did that. Now I don't see any words. So I went out.
Those are kind of important.
It's kind of important to see the words. Maybe Matt can bring me his iPad. Yeah. Yeah, I stretched it out and it just stretches my words out like a 3D box. It's pretty, but not legible. But I do remember that the council procedure bylaw is being brought before council in two things. We did the resolution earlier with Councillor Ventimiglia at the beginning of the meeting, and that was coming from the ministry to ensure that our guidelines are meeting the electronic meetings. So through the resolution, we're all following a correct process, because that's not in our procedure bylaw. As well, council had requested some information on a consent agenda. So in my report, I outline consent agendas and what they mean. Some of you may have experience with consent agendas from, oh, it's just downloading now on Matt's iPad. Funny technology. I love it. So you can have a number of items added to a consent agenda, and that includes like your regular and committee minutes, items that are non-controversial in nature. So they're at the, at the beginning of your meeting, correspondence and staff reports that have no action required. So the resolution is there, that's moved first and second. And if there's no items where it goes into a debate, and if there's no items that require to be pulled out, all those items listed in the consent agenda are approved. In Robert's Rules of Order, they call it a consent calendar. Additionally, going through the provisions in the procedure bylaw is it outlines the time and location. Item 4 that our council currently follows, which are the second and fourth Monday of the month, beginning at 7. There may be an opportunity for council to consider other days or times for your meetings. Town of Osoyoos recently changed their meeting dates to the second and fourth Tuesday. And this was to allow staff to start the work week off with a Monday to make themselves more efficient, and as well fewer meetings are canceled due to statutory holidays. City of West Kelowna, they have meetings on Tuesdays and they alternate their times between afternoons and early evening. City of Penticton, for example, as well as Tuesday, their meetings are in the afternoon, but their public hearings are on Monday and at 7 o'clock. Options for council that they may want to consider is not to change the date or the times. You could move to a Tuesday. You could change to an afternoon meeting or an evening meeting, one per month. But you know, out of respect for the water councillors, sometimes they have challenges with an afternoon meeting because of their commitments to business. We could schedule water matters for the evening meeting. So that would enable be no conflict for them. As well, under electronic meetings, currently our committees like airport, downtown advisory, there's no provision stated in the bylaw to allow them to attend electronic meetings. So adding on that additional statement that committee members who are unable to attend a council meeting may participate in the meeting by electronic means. As well, we could change item 4 under section 8 from must to may, or we could eliminate it under the new template provided by the province. That's not a required item. Also, we would need to add under order of proceedings under item 15, add rise and report. That's currently not listed. And if we added a consent agenda, it would go in that section under item F. And for council's consideration is to move delegations ahead of water matters. When we do have, you know, a number of water matters on an agenda, sometimes that can take a fair length of time, and we can have delegations waiting for a period of time for them to go through their quick process. And if we move water matters to an evening meeting where there's a number of items, then we would have delegations waiting for an extended period of time. So those are just some thoughts for council to consider. I would bring an amendment to council at a future meeting. These would not go into effect until February, as the procedure bylaw is one of those items that has to be advertised twice in the paper in 2 consecutive issues. Thank you, Councillor Ventimiglia.
Okay, thank you for that. And I will again ask if there are any questions or comments from council, and please, if you can use your virtual hand, it's so much easier for me to see who's got their hand up, unless you just want to shout it out. Anyone? Okay, I see Councillor Grice and then Councillor Schwarzenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So there's, I mean, pieces of it I think are fine to change. I know for me personally, like with my job schedule, switching from Mondays is going to cause some difficulties for me. The time, I mean, I worry more about the water councillors, I think, than for myself. It was, if meetings were to start around this time, it would be okay. I think earlier, I don't know if that would, I mean, I think if it stayed on Mondays, it would be okay. But I'm hesitant personally, just for my own reasons, to switch from Mondays. The other options or recommendations to change all seemed fine for me though. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grice. Councillor Schwarzenberger?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Councillor Grice. Mondays work best for my schedule. I don't, the comment about canceling meetings because of statutory holidays, we don't do that. We have the meetings on Tuesday if there's a stat on Monday anyway, so I don't think that's a consideration. I think the timing of especially the regular meeting at 7 p.m. works well so that people who have a regular job can appear before council or come to council if they have an issue that they're really interested in. So I think we should leave the regular meetings at 7 o'clock, but otherwise, the committee of the whole meetings and other meetings like that, I think we could easily do in the afternoon. And I think the consent agenda is a really good idea. Thank you.
Mayor Johansson?
Thank you, Chair. I agree that the timing of the meetings and the days work well for anybody here. I mean, I could meet at any time on any day for that matter, just about, but I also think it works well for people considering getting involved in local politics. I think those meeting times work for a lot of people that work, and there's a lot of benefit to that. And the other comment I would have is just that I think, yeah, there's some items that could go into a consent agenda. There have been meetings where we've had multiple minutes that we've had to go through one by one, and I think it would be efficient to go through sort of page turn items like that a little bit quicker. And there's still opportunity for people to speak to any item on a consent agenda as well. So those would be my comments. Thank you.
So my comments would be along the same lines. I think whether it's a Monday or whether it's a Tuesday, there's, you always have to make it work in your schedule. So Monday seems to work well in general. It's worked well for quite a few years. So I wouldn't be too interested in changing it. And I also think that I know some communities do afternoon, evening, or just daytimes or whatever. I think we're actually at an advantage having our later afternoon and early evening meetings for exactly the reasons stated. Not only does it allow for greater encouragement greater participation by the public, many of whom work during the day, but also for people who are looking to get involved, to run for council or put their name forward. That opens us up to a greater range of citizens and doesn't automatically exclude somebody that has a 9-to-5 Monday type job. It does happen the later afternoon, evening meetings. For the delegations, I think it's a great idea to bump them up and put them in front of Water Matters, because I do sometimes feel sorry for some of the delegations that are particular. I think it happens often to the poor youth ambassadors end up sitting in the audience for 30 minutes while we have probably the longest meeting in that quarter. Usually happens when they're sitting in the audience waiting for their turn. So it would be nice to bump those delegations up. And as far as consent agendas go, we've heard a couple of positive comments, and I guess then I'd be interested to see how they would work in our community, because having participated in meetings with consent agendas, particularly at the regional district, I'm not a super duper huge fan. I don't think that our meetings here in particular are generally so long that we need to condense 3, 4, 5 items into one consent item. I mean, that just might leave us with 1 or 2 items to discuss on the agenda anyway. And so, I mean, I do, to the mayor's point about minutes, perhaps minutes can go on a consent agenda, but I wouldn't be overly interested in seeing any other items on there, because although you can pull them off and discuss items that are on that agenda, you have to, make a point of pulling it off. It's not something that you just talk about and comment on your way through. So I'll be interested to see what comes back, but those are my comments for now. And Councillor Grice, did you have another comment?
Nope, sorry, I just didn't put my hand down.
Okay, no problem. Were there any other comments or questions or feedback? Is that enough, corporate officer, for you, or did you want a little bit more direction than that?
Thank you, Chair Ventimilla. No, I believe that provides delegation from what I'm hearing, direction, I'm sorry. What I'm hearing is that the Mondays are fine. Our current scheduling in the late afternoon, evening, which we typically do, works well for council and for the public. Also, the delegation moving ahead of water matters. And the consent agenda, I think that in agenda review with the mayor, we at that time, we could be listing the multiple minutes for approval and consideration for those items to go on. And if we think there's going to be some discussion, that we would leave it as an item rather than put it in to the consent agenda. But I'm sure it will be a little bit of a learning process for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the minutes, it does make sense to lump them all together. But I know that at the regional district, and obviously their agendas are much different than ours. But, variance permits and things like that are sort of deemed to be non-controversial will go on a consent agenda. And I think it just, in my opinion, it kind of takes away the opportunity for discussion. And again, I don't think our agendas are so long that we can't go through each of those piece by piece in an evening. Councillor Grice, did you still forget to put down your hand, or is it up again?
I put it back up. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
it's your
Madam
turn then.
Chair. I guess I just have a question about process then. So if these items are all put onto a consent agenda, but we do want to pull something out, does that happen during the meeting or prior to the meeting, or what's the process there?
Through the chair, that would happen at after the first and second. Any item that a member wished to discuss in a debate would be pulled out of the consent agenda and then put into the regular agenda item. And then it's dealt with at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I think that's it there then. And if that is the case, then we are done our business and on to public question period. And is there anybody joining us this evening that has a question? Scrolling. And I don't see any. So with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
We do have 2 attendees, but I don't see them.
Yeah. I scrolled,
Great,
looked at them. I
great.
can look again, double check.
Thank you.
Going once, going twice. And so then I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Excellent. And any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone. See you in a half an hour.